Turn around and go back home.
While anti-immigration activists shout at children near a border, some have emphasized that they are champions of law and order, with statements like, "My grandparents were children when they came, but they came the right way." A look back at the history of immigration law is in order. For the first 100 years of our nation's existence, immigration was virtually unrestricted. There was no border patrol, no government agency in charge of regulating who came in. The first restrictions on immigration were directed at criminals, prostitutes, and Chinese contract workers. The blending of law and order rhetoric with racism would become a continuing theme of immigration law. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 suspended the immigration of Chinese workers and barred them from becoming citizens. As the 20th century began, more exclusion laws were passed against other Asian nationalities. Since then, immigration policy in the U.S. has sometimes violently zigzagged between racism and business interests. In World War II, shortages of farm labor prompted our government to import 5 million Mexican field workers under the Bracero program. Then just 12 years later, in 1954, the U.S. rounded up and deported 1 million unauthorized Mexican migrants, along with legal immigrants and U.S. citizens of Mexican descent. This pointedly racist program had a blatantly racist name, Operation Wetback. In the wake of the Civil Rights Movement, the Immigration Act of 1965 abolished the discriminatory quota system. To cope with the increase in unauthorized migrants which came with the surge in immigration, Congress passed a law in 1986 effectively granting amnesty to many of them. But the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986 failed to expand legal immigration to meet the demand for labor in the United States. Following the first attack on the World Trade Center in 1993, terrorism fears bolstered anti-immigrant political forces. A set of laws passed in 1996 had a devastating impact on immigrants. One of these laws redefined many immigrants as felons, even for non-violent offenses. The laws also made deporting immigrants easier and enhanced border enforcement. The attacks of 9/11 helped create the political will to fully implement the enforcement of immigration law. In 2002, Congress created the Department of Homeland Security, along with its Bureau of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, with a stated goal of deporting every single unauthorized immigrant. Every year since then, funding for enforcement has increased, along with deportations and detentions. Yet after billions of dollars spent and millions of families torn apart, there are still more than 11 million unauthorized immigrants living in our country. Reporting for Currents, this is Konrad Aderer.